Okay, Mr. Manderfeld here, a voice from your future. Fourth graders, soon you guys, in a half year, you'll be in fifth grade, and I'm excited to have you as fifth graders. So I'm going to show you something we do in fifth grade called Edpuzzle. But before we do that, I want to point out the top of this picture up here. You guys see what that is? Yeah, those are Rubik's Cube t-shirts. Melting Rubik's Cube t-shirts. In fifth grade, you're going to have something called the Rubik's Cube Challenge, and I'm going to challenge you to see if you guys can solve the Rubik's Cube. And I'm going to teach you how to solve the Rubik's Cube, and we're even going to have a competition that we go and compete in, a Rubik's Cube competition. If you're able to solve the Rubik's Cube by memory, you're going to get one of those cool Rubik's Cube t-shirts that you see a lot of fifth graders wearing. Also, I'd like to let you know that so far this year, 44 fifth graders can solve the Rubik's Cube. That's amazing in one of our world records. So I'm going to leave that picture up here. But today we're going to learn a little bit about equivalent fractions because Miss Graham told me you're learning about equivalent fractions. So let's watch this video, but be ready. There's a few surprises along the way.
Equivalent fractions. This is a must-have skill. With it, you will ace your fractions problems. If you're ready for this film, then you've used fraction strips before. Here's a whole one. Let's fold it to make two halves. This whole is in quarters. This is in sixths. This is in eighths. And this is in tenths. Let's colour up one half of it. One part out of two. And that's two parts out of four. And 3 parts out of 6, 4 parts out of 8, and 5 parts out of 10. You can see these are all equivalent fractions. Notice that the denominator is 2 times its numerator for all these equivalent fractions of 1/2. And you could easily think of some more like this without using fraction strips. 10 over 20, 30 over 60, 50 over 100. I want you to take a note. The rule is equivalent fractions can only be made by multiplying or dividing. And whatever I do to the numerator, the top number, I've got to do to the denominator, the bottom number. Now let's go back. These equivalent fractions of 1/2 have bigger numbers, but we can see they all have the same size value. So we multiplied to get these equivalent fractions. Now let's think about that without the fraction strips. Here's 1/2. What do I multiply the numerator and the denominator by to get this equivalent fraction? 2. 1 times 2 is 2 and 2 times 2 is 4. I used a factor of 2 to make this equivalent fraction. You can see whatever I do to the top, I've got to do to the bottom. So if I use a factor of 3, I get this equivalent fraction. A factor of 4 gets me this equivalent fraction. And when I use 5, I get this equivalent fraction. You can see it in action here. Whatever I do to the top, I've got to do to the bottom. That's easy enough, isn't it? Okay then, so let's do some practice to make it stick before you hit the worksheets. 3 over 4, 3 quarters, 3 fourths. What if I make an equivalent fraction using a factor of 2? Whatever I do to the top, I've got to do to the bottom. 3 times 2 is 6, the new numerator, over 4 times 2 is 8, the new denominator. Or I could use 3. 3 times 3 is 9, over 4 times 3 is 12. I could use 5. 3 times 5 is 15, over 4 times 5 is 20. I can use any factor I choose to make an equivalent fraction as long as I multiply both the numerator and the denominator by the same number, then I'm doing it right. Now it's your turn. Enjoy your math power as you make some equivalent fractions for yourself. And when you're brilliant at that, click here to go on to the next step, reducing fractions.
All right, before we go on to reducing fractions, I got a little surprise for you. So I'll see if I can make this work. Not Angry Birds yet, not the video. All right, we got a video here. Oops. All right, wait, I want to rewind this. Okay, we have a slow motion video. You're gonna have to predict. Now that little red dot there, way far away on the little kid's playground, I think you can see a dot over him. Right there, oh, right there. That's me, the quarterback. Watch this play, slow motion. Touchdown! Now, how exciting was that? All right, let's go back to learning a little bit more about fractions. I have the second half of this video on equivalent fractions. Just need to go back. I think it's right. Uh-oh, where did reducing fractions go? Thought I had it. I thought I had it. Okay, you got to give me a second. Can I search in here? I think I can. Equivalent fractions. Reducing. Hopefully this works. I thought it was going to pop up automatically, so give me a second. Searching. Part 2. This one right here, yes.
Hey, let's play.
Hey, first grade math,
We can
yes.
show you how fun math can be. It is easy.
Skip the end.
Multiply or divide, and whatever
Okay, sorry about all that. Here you go.
equivalent fractions. Part 2, reducing fractions. Last time, we multiplied both the numerator and denominator by a single value to get an equivalent fraction. I asked you to note down that the only way to make an equivalent fraction is to multiply or divide, and whatever we do to the top, we've got to do to the bottom. So, no adding or subtracting, okay? Never ever. Only multiplying or dividing leads to a correct answer in equivalent fractions. Okay, by now you should have done some exercises making equivalent fractions. If you got them right, then you're ready for the next step. We know that the opposite of multiplication is division. Let's examine that with this fraction. 3 times 2 is 6. And 4 times 2 is 8. There's my new equivalent fraction. Now, 6 divided by 2 is 3, and 8 divided by 2 is 4. Using the inverse operation gets us back to our original fraction. That's why we can also use division to make an equivalent fraction. We're not changing the value of the fraction, we're just changing its scale. We use multiplication to scale the fraction up, so the values look bigger. We use division to scale the fraction down, making the values look smaller. That's why it's called reducing a fraction, because we're making it look smaller. Let's do one. 8 over 14. The key to success in reducing a fraction is we've got to pick a number that divides perfectly. No remainders allowed. These numbers are both even, so I can divide by 2. How many 2's in 8? 4 2's are 8. And how many 2's in 14? 7 2's are 14. Remember, whatever we do to the top, we've got to do to the bottom. And no remainders allowed. So in this next example, I could divide by 2 because these are even numbers. How many 2's in 6? 3 2's are 6. Over how many 2's in 18? 9 2's are 18. 3 over 9. Both those numbers are in the 3 times table. So I can reduce again using a factor of 3. There's 1 3 in 3 and 3 3's in 9. 1/3. I can't reduce this anymore. When you can't divide a fraction anymore, that's called reducing a fraction to its lowest terms. Now, I could also have taken our 6 over 18 and divided by 3 because both those numbers are in the 3 times table. 3's into 6, 2 3's are 6. 3's into 18, 6 3's are 18, 2 over 6. These are both even numbers. I can divide by 2. 1 2 is 2 and 3 2's are 6, 1/3. Or I could have divided by 6 to start with because they're both in the 6 times table. 6 divided by 6 is 1, 18 divided by 6, 3 6's are 18, 1.
Okay, I love this lady and her talking, and we are going to finish this video because the Powtoon is pretty cool. But I want to show you something that I teach in 5th grade. Now this is kind of a little bit of a trick, but when you're reducing or putting fractions, getting an equivalent fraction by dividing, there's really 3 things when you're first starting out, okay? 3 things. Try simplifying by dividing by the numerator, or as we know, that's the top number. That is the most common way to reduce. The top number usually works. If that doesn't work, dividing by 2 usually works, and if that doesn't work, dividing by 3 usually works. Now, this doesn't always happen because sometimes none of those will work, but then that's kind of advanced. By the time you get to that stage, you should be all right. So what I'm talking about is, let's look at a fraction here. Let's say that we had, like she had 6/18. If we go through this list, first trying the top number, then 2, we could go like this. Well, I know I need to reduce this or make an equivalent fraction. How could I do it? I could divide by the top number. Does that work? 6 into 6, yes. Does 6 go into 18? It does. So in this case, the top number does work to get us right to the lowest term or the simplest form. And especially you need that for Think Central. Okay, but let's look at this one. Let's say we had 12/18. Well, in this case, you can't divide the top and the bottom by 12 because 12 goes into 12, but 12 doesn't go into 18. So in that case, why don't we try dividing by 2? So if we divide by 2 and divide by 2, we get 6/9. Or here we can even divide by 3 again and divide by 3 to get our lowest common 2/3. So maybe this confused you more, or maybe it's helping, but basically what I'm telling you is when you have to make an equivalent fraction by dividing, try the top number first, because that usually works. If not, dividing by 2 and dividing by 3 also works. All right, let's get back to our lady, and then I have another surprise for you guys. Here she is.
Third again. You can
What a great
reduce
accent
fraction
she has.
in more than one step till it won't reduce anymore, or you might be able to get there in just one shot. However you reduce it, the final answer in its lowest terms will be the same. Please make a note of this in your math journal so it makes sense to you. I want you to get this because you're going to need it all the time in fractions problems. And when you've written the note, it's time for you to have a go at reducing fractions. Next time, I'll show you how to make short work of part-finished equivalent fractions. These are a teacher favourite to check if you really know what you're doing.
Okay, thank you for all that excellent knowledge. All right, before we have the little fun thing that I want to show you, let's move down and try a couple of these ourselves. So the last time when I was visiting you guys, I saw that you guys were comparing fractions. All right? So when you're comparing fractions, let's start out with 1/2. Okay, I'm just going to have you put a couple of fractions on a number line. Now, obviously, you can't answer these questions by putting them on a number line, but what you can do is say greater than or less than, meaning bigger than 1/2 or smaller than 1/2. Let's benchmark with 1/2. So let's say, let me pick a cool color here. Let's see, what color do you guys like? Let's pick orange this time. Okay, and let's go a little thicker too. There you go. All right, so let's say I have 7/8. Would 7/8 be greater than 1/2? So would it go on this side? Or would it be less than 1/2 and go on this side? Let's think about that. Well, if we compare the numerator to the denominator, we can see that it is almost all filled up. We need 8 total parts to make one whole, and we have 7 parts. So if we were to place this on the number line, it would be somewhere around here, definitely bigger than 1/2. Another way to think about this with equivalent fractions would be to make this 1/2 into eighths. So you go like this. Well, actually, let me change colors here. Let's use green. So if we're going to make it into eighths, right, so that we can compare it with this one, we can just multiply the bottom by 4. And whenever you do the denominator, you need to do the numerator. And 1 times 4 is 4. So 1/2 is the same as 4/8. And we were comparing that to 7/8, and 7/8 was definitely bigger. Okay, let's try another one. Let's do 3/5. That's a hard one. Where would 3/5 go? Let me get on my eraser here. Oh yeah, look at that. Like magic, it just disappears. Okay, so let me put 1/2 back. So where would 3/5 go? That's a hard one. Would it be greater than 1/2 or less than 1/2? Think about that. All right, so let's think about 3. What would 1/2 of 5 be? So if you had 5, let's take a look quick. We have 1, 2, 3, 4. So we have 5 things. What would be 1/2 of 5? Well, you can't really take 1/2 of 5 because you need 6 to make half. So it would be 2.5 would be halfway. So 2.5 is less than 1/2. Or I'm sorry, 2.5 is greater than 1/2 because it's 2.5. 2.5. So 3/5 would go right about there. It would be greater than. All right, let's take a look at equivalent fractions. Last 2 questions. I would like you to, on your paper and then in Edpuzzle, please make an equivalent fraction, any equal fraction you can, to 4/5. And then let's try using dividing to make an equal fraction. Can you make an equal fraction by dividing to get to 3/12? All right, now that you've done those, let's do the other fun thing I was going to try. Now, I'm not sure how this is going to work. I'm trying to get to this game here. I don't know. Hopefully you guys aren't too young to recognize this game, Angry Birds. And probably, as this is popping up on your screen right now, it's probably turning the orientation. So I think that now you might have to turn your Chromebook sideways and set them sideways so you can see me playing. So let's see, play now. Uh-oh. All right, come on, is it gonna work? Uh-oh, something happened. Don't worry, no stress here. Let's get it going. Let me try again, Angry Birds. Okay. So, it's teaching me how to play. I think I've played Angry Birds now. I think I cleared the level. Am I supposed to knock? Nope, I'm supposed to knock everything down. Or I think I just have to knock down the... Okay, wait. Oh, I did. All right, good. First shot. Good job. Level cleared, Mr. Manderfeld. All right. Now, if you're like, I'd rather play a video game and not just watch you play a video game, Mr. Manderfeld, that's probably true. But I can't give you all Angry Birds right now. Maybe when you get to 5th grade, you can play Angry Birds. But... a lot of you like to watch Twitch, which is just watching other people play video games, so hey, that's what I'm doing now. We'll play a couple more rounds. All right, here we go. Hopefully you guys are going for me. Yes, I think I cleared it. Yeah, stop telling me the directions. I get it. That's it. I cleared it. Woo! 3 stars. Oh, next one. Okay. All right, it's getting a little bit more complicated. I get it. Oh, too low. But look, I at least gave the one guy a black eye. All right. Ooh, what are these? Epic. Okay, okay, okay. They gave me a lot of birds for this one. Uh-oh. Some of you are predicting what I should do better. Wait, wait. It's rolling. It's rolling. It's rolling. I still got time. Nope. All right. This is probably going to have to be my last. Come on. Drop on him. Yes! Cleared it. All right. This marks the end of our video. Oh, 3 stars still. Yes. Marks the end of our video. I hope you enjoyed your first Edpuzzle. Actually, I think I can talk to you guys. This is something I've never tried before. Let me try one more thing, at least to wave goodbye to you guys. I think that if I do this... Oh, there's my house. Okay, I think if I go like this, I can wave goodbye to you guys. There it is. All right, bye. Good job, 5th graders. Look to Miss Graham. See what to do next. Hope you enjoyed the video.